Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tuesdays with Terry. This is episode 14. Tonight, I thought I'd just talk about why you should or would want to work with me as your realtor. And I thought I'd give you a little background on how I got to where I am today, and also talk about some of the things that I do as a realtor, some of the things that I don't do, what some of my specialties are, and also answer any questions if anybody wants to type in a question in the chat box. I'll do my best to answer any questions that you have concerning real estate. I would also encourage you, since you found this Facebook site, that you can also access the 13 other episodes of Tuesdays with Terry. Some of them are on specific topics, and some of them we have a guest for, and we're working to line up some new guests coming up in the future. So that should be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. What we try to do is take a topic and get an expert and just kind of do a deep dive into that specific topic. Since you've accessed the Facebook page to be able to view this, you just know that they're all here available, all the episodes. They're also on our YouTube channel. Not all of them are loaded up yet. So I encourage you to take advantage of some of the other episodes. If you have any questions on anything, please give me a call. My number is 561-340-9623, or email me at T as in Terry, Reed, REED, cells, SELLS, @gmail.com. So let's talk a little bit about my background. I'm originally from Ohio, specifically Canton, Ohio, home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which when I was growing up wasn't that big of a deal. I remember when they were building it, we used to ride. I didn't live too far away. We used to ride our bikes to watch them build it, and then they had, they had a Hall of Fame game every year, and really it was kind of a local thing. The Hall of Fame wasn't really that big at that time. It was just one little building, but it's grown by leaps and bounds. Since I was a kid, and it's kind of taken over the city. Canton is pretty much the Hall of Fame city. I grew up across the street from a high school, and the high school had their own football field. And this was in a neighborhood. This wasn't like a suburban school. So there was always something going on the football field. In summer, there were always baseball games. 2 baseball games usually, one on each side of the field. And during the fall, there was football. We played football every night after school until we got older, and then we were usually doing that stuff at our school. So sports was a big part of my life back then, and a big part of everybody's life in that part of the country. Not that I was really good at it, but it was something that it was just something that we did. I had a paper route. I was very entrepreneurial when I was younger. We had a business, we had a family business. We had like a luncheonette across from the high school that served lunch, and it was more of like a general store. You don't see neighborhood stores anymore. But back then, every neighborhood had a store, and each one was unique depending on what the neighborhood was. This store was a little bit bigger than most. We actually had a grill, so I grew up always working. However, my goal was to get out of Canton, and not that there's anything wrong with Canton, but I just wanted to see a bigger part of life. I traveled around a little bit. I lived in LA for a little while, lived in the Southwest, lived in Phoenix, Albuquerque. Um, and then I came back and um, went to college, went to a community college and worked in a steel mill like everybody does. Everybody did back then. Those used to be pretty good jobs. You could raise a family, buy a house, have a car, working in a factory or a mill. It wasn't really for me, and that industry was starting to die out. Um, I took a job. I was also involved in sports. I guess you would call it. They call it sports administration now. Uh, I ran a community center for a while. I worked for the Cleveland Cavaliers as a ticket salesman. I also worked for the Cleveland Indians as a ticket salesman. I worked for the Browns. Um, and then I decided to work for a company that did marketing all around the country. That sounded like a fun thing to do. Um, we worked for minor league baseball teams. We worked for hockey teams. We worked for soccer teams. We worked for baseball teams, major league teams. Um, and I did. I traveled all over the country. Um, it wasn't as much fun as it sounds. Um, but I did. I met a lot of interesting people. I lived in a lot of interesting places. One of my assignments was in West Palm Beach. Um, and I thought it was great here. We used to have a stadium in West Palm Beach. It was called Municipal Stadium, and it was the spring training home of the Montreal Expos and the Atlanta Braves. And behind the stadium were seven fields uh, that were pretty much in use all year round. After spring training, the Montreal Expos had a minor league team that stayed there throughout the summer. Um, and that's who we came to town to do a promotion for. I did that promotion. I really liked it here. I met a lot of people here. I left and went over to St. Pete and did a promotion over there. And I like that area too. And then I went to Chicago uh, in the winter, and I decided to take a vacation. And I came back to West Palm Beach, and I decided to stay. I decided Florida was the place for me. Uh, Chicago was a great town. In the winter and in the fall, it gets kind of chilly, and I grew up in that type of weather, and I kind of wanted to get away from it. Um, so I took a job working for the city of West Palm Beach, and I worked at the stadium, and I also worked part time for the West Palm Beach Expos. So I was at all their games. I worked there in the daytime for the city, and I was there every night for their games. Um, After Hurricane Andrew hit, um, I decided to uh, that working in sports was a great job. It was a fun job. You met a lot of people. You met all the ball players, um, but it really took all your nights and all your weekends. Um, I was also working part time for the Miami Dolphins and the Miami Hurricanes. So baseball season, I was at the stadium all day and all night. And during football season, I was at the stadium all day because it still had to be maintained. And then on the weekends, I was in Miami working for the Dolphins. So, it doesn't really leave much time for a life. Um, so I decided to leave. I went back to Ohio for a while. Uh, I lived in the DC area for a while, and I used my degree. I had a degree in community development, urban planning, and government. And I went to work for a housing organization, uh, kind of a nonprofit, quasi-governmental in outside DC, the Housing Opportunities Commission, and then I worked for the city of Tacoma Park, uh, and I worked there, and I did neighborhood revitalizations, community development. I went to the city of Cleveland next, and I worked for the mayor there, and I managed grants, I managed HUD grants, and then eventually I became the assistant director of health and environment and the acting director, and that was more of an administrative role. Um, that ended as government jobs like that end because we got a new mayor, and a new mayor brings in new people. Uh, I came back down to West Palm Beach, and I had been away for a few years, and this area had grown drastically. Um, but I was still interested in community development, and neighborhood revitalization. I went to work for the city of West Palm Beach in community development, and then we had a recession. And in that recession, there were a lot of layoffs everywhere. I got laid off at the city of West Palm Beach. Uh, I went to work for a small real estate company uh, out west in Pahokee, to be specific. And I managed that office for about a year. And I decided to get my real estate license. So then I was on commission, I wasn't on salary. And driving out to Pahokee really wasn't feasible. It's just not a large enough mass of people there to make a living. But for me, real estate is a way to stay involved in community development. I know neighborhoods well. I've studied neighborhoods. Um, Urban planning was one of my majors. So I understand the dynamics of neighborhoods, of neighborhood change. I can tell if a neighborhood is, which direction it's headed. So that was my focus of getting into real estate down here. I liked helping people. That was one of the things I liked about. I was more of a community developer than a planner. Um, I did a lot of community outreach. I did strategic planning, and it was really a good feeling to meet with representatives from a community, do focus groups, whatever, do a strategic plan, and then see that come to fruition. Fruition. It's you have a concept, and then you make the concept reality, and that's a great feeling. And you get the same feeling. I get the same feeling in real estate when I find somebody a house or I sell somebody's house so that they can go on and they can move on to the next chapter of their life, whether it's leaving or whether it's just downsizing. I have a few notes here that I want to get just to make sure I cover everything I wanted to talk about here. Um, so after I got my real estate license, I and Pahokee just wasn't it just wasn't efficient for me to drive out there every day and try and make my living, specifically in Pahokee and Belle Glade and in South Bay. There aren't enough people there. So I moved my license to one of the big box companies and was closer to my home because I live in suburban Lake Worth. And I was with them for 9 years, and I learned a lot about real estate. At the time, they were a great training company, and they kind of moved into more of a tech-oriented company, and kind of moved towards uh, teams, groups, mega agents, and that just really wasn't me. That didn't really reflect me as a realtor. So um, let me just talk a little bit about who I am as a realtor. Well, maybe it might be easier to talk about who I'm not. Um, we just touched on it a little bit. Um, I mean, I understand all the technology, artificial intelligence is getting really big right now, um, but it doesn't drive my business. I'm still somewhat of an old-fashioned realtor. My business is based on personal relationships. Most of my business comes from referrals. I am not. I'm kind of a one-person shop. I do everything myself. If you call me and you want to work with me, uh, and we sit down and talk, or we have a Zoom like this, um, I'm the person that you're going to be dealing with from that point on. I'm not just the person that is getting the listing, and then you'll be working with the listing agent, then you'll be working with a transaction coordinator, then you'll be working with the closer. Uh, you'll be working with me the whole transaction. Um, and if it's selling your house, I'll be out there. I'll be the one putting the sign up if you're allowed to have signs. I'll be the one taking the pictures. I think I'm a pretty good photographer, and like I said, we have a relationship. Uh, since I don't have 21 active properties, and I don't have a buyer's agent, I don't have a listing agent, I don't have a transaction coordinator. Uh, it's me who you deal with, uh, and if you call me about one of the properties, uh, I'm going to know everything there is about it because that's the focus of my life. Your listing. I'm not what I call a general contractor, which is getting very popular uh, in today's real estate market. Um, there's a lot of technology. Um, People try to scale their business. They spend a lot of money on marketing. I know realtors that spend $30,000 a month on marketing. In order to do that, you have to generate a lot of business. And the way they do it is they buy leads. They buy leads from some of these lead source companies. They hire telemarketers who spend all day calling these people, and then they send out their listing agent to go out and do the presentation. And you never really talk to the agent again. Um, it's not like that with me. I'm not saying that my way is better. I'm just saying that that's my way, and my way is a more personal approach. If you're looking to buy a house, once again, you're going to be working with me. You're not going to uh, call me and I sell you on the idea of working with the Reed Group, and then you're working with Sally Smith, who's probably a great agent, but you work with me, and you become the focus of what I'm doing, because I can't work with 20 buyers at one time, just like I can't work with 20, sell 20 houses at one time. That's just not who I am. I can't spread myself that thin and do a good job. And ultimately, what I want to do is I want to do a good job. Working with buyers, it's a great feeling to work with somebody and have them find a house that is going to be their future for, nowadays people don't live in houses 20, 25 years like they did when I was growing up. Nowadays it's between 7 to 10 years, and then they either move up or they move down. But I've worked with people who I had a client call me. It was a referral, and said that her price point was so low that nobody would work with her. And I realized that it was going to be a difficult journey finding her a house in her price range that didn't need a lot of work because she didn't really have the money, uh, to do major repairs. It took a while, and we had a few false starts. And in false starts, sometimes it starts out, especially with the entry level houses or first time home buyers, that you find out that what you want doesn't really exist in the marketplace for the price you can afford. So, we go out and we look at a couple of those houses, but it's really more than you can afford. So sometimes you have to decide what's really important to you, and be able to visualize what the house or the property could look like after you own it. Sometimes you have to look past what you're seeing. Well, in that particular case, it took a little while. We had a couple offers not accepted, and then we found a house that was actually on a canal that led to the lake, which could also eventually lead to the ocean, actually on either coast. The house needed some work, but she had people that could help her do the work, and it wasn't a major renovation. It didn't need a new roof. It didn't need new siding. It didn't need new windows. Um, and she cried at the closing. She literally cried, and I really felt good about that. I didn't make much of a commission off that property, but that's not necessarily why I'm in real estate. Um, I mean, we all have to make our rent, our mortgage payments, um, but you want to be able to feel like you're doing something for people, that you're making a difference. Uh, so that's where I feel. That's who I am as a realtor. Um, I'm basically a one-person shop. I do it all, and I think I do it all well. And you can always reach me, um, and if I'm not available, I'll return your call as soon as possible. Um, I do have some specialties, and one of my specialties is selling real estate. Uh, I've sold houses in Palm Beach County for $60,000. Those houses don't exist anymore, and that house needed a lot of work. So you really had to visualize on that house. And I'm working with a client right now on a property that's 2.2 million. So um, anything in between. As a working with sellers, what I do is I develop a marketing plan uh, that works with you, the client, the property, the neighborhood. It might be in an HOA. There might not be signs allowed. There might not be open houses allowed. Um, so what we do is we work together, and we build a relationship, and um, we talk about some things that maybe you need to do before we put the house on the market. Declutter is usually one of them, um, that almost everybody has to do. So that's one of my specialties, selling real estate, mostly, well, specifically residential real estate. Uh, I do list and sell apartment buildings, but I don't do commercial property anymore. We have a great commercial broker in our office, and I refer all commercial property to them because that's what they do, and it's a lot different. I also don't do rentals because in Palm Beach County specifically, I don't really think you need a realtor to to find a rental property, a long-term rental. Vacation rentals are a different thing, and in our office, which is in Singer Island, is really tuned into you know vacation rentals and short-term rentals. Those I can do. I work with somebody else on those, um, but I'm strictly residential. It's my niche, and I like it. I also really like working with first-time homebuyers, as we talked about earlier. In fact, I have a website which you'll find in the chat, or you'll find if you go through the Facebook, um, you'll see links to it, and it's for Florida down payment assistance. And all you do is you go to the website, you put in some information, and you get a report on what down payment assistance programs you may qualify for. Doesn't mean necessarily positively you're going to qualify for it, because then we have to talk about that. We have to see, what your report says. Ideally, you take that report and you share it with your realtor, who will then explain some of the programs, because not every lender works with every program. So that's one of my jobs, especially when I work with first-time home buyers, is sorting through this process and seeing which programs might be better for you. Because some programs you're getting money for down payment assistance, and the more you get, the higher the interest rate. So you want to balance that between, do you need the money for the down payment, or do you need the lower interest rate? And that's something that we talk about, and that's how we build a relationship. You can find all that info. My website is I changed my website, and it's not up yet. Should be up in a few days. So this Facebook site is the place to get information. I encourage you to check out all my real estate Facebook sites. There's a link to them in the chat, and there's also links on this Facebook page. And each one of them has specific information related to the title. For instance, one of them is about probate real estate, and that's one of my specialties, probate real estate. For one thing, it gives me houses for buyers, and houses for buyers that they might be able to get some equity in right away, because usually probate houses, somebody passed away, they might have been older, the house hasn't been updated in a while. So it's going to need some work, and I like working with probate, because many times the personal representative is from out of town, and they need some help going through the process. So that's one of my Facebook pages is specifically about probate. So my specialties are selling, working with first-time home buyers, working with any buyer really, but I really have some tools specifically for first-time home buyers to help them get some down payment assistance, and then again probate, and that's pretty much my my areas of expertise. I've sold apartment buildings. I've done I've done some commercial stuff. But the commercial stuff I tend to stay away from now. I'd rather do the residential. Rather than working with businesses, I like working with people. And I like to experience the high that they get when they get into a house. So we're just about out of time. I hope I provided some information to you tonight about why you might choose to work with me as your realtor, and I hope it's been informative. And I hope you'll tune in next Tuesday for another Tuesdays with Terry.